Hello, my lovely audience. I am your host, Voidlight Singularis, or just Void, and welcome to Year 5 of LotusClan. A year of love, death, and drama. You love to see it. Starting off, we have ourselves an animatic. Tarantula Grass dreamed of a bright, open field. This wasn't any ordinary dream, though. She hadn't had those in moons, nor was she alone in this dream. She perked up as she saw the cat she was waiting for to approach. A cat who had introduced herself as Birchstream, who had given her extra training. Birchstream was kind to her, and not distant like her clan-given mentor Hazyfrost often was. She was excitedly talking about her day when something in the air shifted, and Birchstream looked nervous. Afraid, even. A sudden, horrifying presence made itself known, radiating anger and impatience. It was done waiting. The vibrant field melted away into a twisted, dark forest, and branches and vines began dragging Birchstream away, her appearance shifting to one more fitting of a resident of such a place. The last thing she saw before waking up was the shadow of a horrifying monster looming against a starless sky. So that's just a little peek of what's been going on in the Dark Forest, and the introduction of two cats from ancient times, Birchstream, and a cat for now I'll just call the Monster. If you're wondering, Birchstream is still kicking. She was taken out of commission for a bit, but not killed. And now for this year's deaths. First up are two deaths that occurred on the very first time skip of the year. There won't be much to say about them, so I'm putting them together. Hatch Speckle died when an unseen burrow collapsed beneath his feet. It sucks to lose him, especially in such a sudden manner. And then, predictably, Obi Fang did not manage to survive her red cough. I hope she'd live a little longer, though. Our next death takes us to the Dark Forest, where Magnolia Moss died of yellow cough. As a rule, if a cat was training in the Dark Forest at the time of their death, that's probably where they'll go, even if they hadn't done anything worthy of sending them there. It seems she's been having some regrets, though. Now that the cats there don't have to convince her to come back every night, any pretense of friendliness is melted away. She has a role there, and they will make sure she fulfills it. Back in StarClan, we sadly have Yellow Leopard, who was found dead on the territory, a peaceful expression on her face. She never retired, continuing to do her job until the very end. Before she died, she'd been busy. She received a prophecy, the smell of kitty pet food, echoes of a past conversation, and the rumble of many paws on the ground. Later, she would fulfill a different prophecy by inviting a certain cat into the clan, the moon before she died. And again, back to the Dark Forest, this time for an unexpected cat, Copswisp. She had a good start to the year, proving her battle skills in a 2v1, but that good streak didn't keep up, because she was killed by a dog, and then lured a clanmate into a two-leg trap and watched them slowly bleed out. I guess she decided if she was going down, they were going down with her. But she too has been having regrets, it seems, even going so far as wishing to fade away completely. And now, tragically, the murder victim, Prance Shimmer. I feel so bad for her. She existed, was boring, almost got murdered, and then got successfully murdered by a dead cat of all things. R.I.P. LotusClan's dedicated background character. I'm sorry I kept forgetting you existed. And now this year's final death, and the last time I ping-ponged between StarClan and the Dark Forest, Myrtle Flood. Her attitude did not improve after year 4. She spoke cruelly to others, drew blood during training multiple times, coldly saying it was an accident, and made those around her uncomfortable with her unsettling demeanor. She did attempt to rescue an injured loner named Razzle, but was unsuccessful, and she ended up having to watch them die instead. And I think that loner was put there as a twisted lesson from the Dark Forest, to put it in her mind that some were simply not worth saving. She ended up being killed while trying to lure a large dog out of the territory. Now for the living cats, starting with Rubblestar and his now mate, Oriole. Rubblestar's childish personality really reared its ugly head during the beginning of this year. He was argumentative and downright petty. Fortunately, he chilled out in the later half, but he was still kind of judgmental. It didn't help that Mopsy of Laurel Clan seemingly decided to make it his mission to provoke LotusClan at gatherings, egging on the tension that had been created when Mossy allowed in Pansy Fog, even knowing what he'd done and then proceeded to do again. Oriole, on the other hand, has had quite a significant change this year. He decided to become a mediator. He took to the job quite well, negotiating for herbs and settling cross-clan disputes. He even managed to at least temporarily ease tensions between LotusClan and Laurel Clan after a spat over herb gathering. It didn't last, but small victories. Unfortunately, it seems he's better at dealing with cross-clan relationships than with relationships in the clan, and though we have another mediator this year, we'll get there. We're skipping past the deputy for now, going to the medic's den. With Yellow Leopard gone, Time Acorn is now the head medic, and she started the year getting injured in a fight Borage spot. Her mother encouraged, and she came out of it with a pretty significant wound. Borage spot, my girl, she is a doctor, why are you getting her into fights? It never specified who she was fighting against. I just chose a random cat who seemed like they'd be susceptible to being goaded into a fight. She also got a lot of minor injuries over the year. There was a huge rat problem this year due to the clan consistently overstocking prey. Next up is Velvet Clover, who's had a mixed bag. Nothing super interesting happened to her this year, but considering some of the things that happened to others, probably a good thing. She found a queen who died giving birth, bringing back her 3 kits to the clan. We'll get to them later when we get to the nursery segment. She also has crushes on 2 cats right now, Lightning Burst and Hornet Spots. Lightning Burst is requited. Hornet Spots, not so much. She confessed to him at the end of the year, being rejected. Now for that other new mediator I was talking about. A new face, a former kitty pet named Siri. He joined halfway through the year after waiting on a patrol, and though he started off as a warrior, he'd switched to mediator a few minutes after. That said, I'm having some doubts in his abilities. His childish personality doesn't seem fitting for his position, and he often slacks off, electing to race with a rival from another clan and only occasionally doing his job. He finished the year with a case of yellow cough. Borage Spot didn't do much this year, but what she did do, like I said, she got her own daughter injured in a fight that she encouraged. When Rebel Star tried to tell a story while on patrol to pass the time, she coldly shut him down, and she spent the rest of her time envying the deputy's position, or Rebel Star himself. I really do think she has a massive chip on her shoulder about not being chosen as deputy when she felt like she was owed it. Goose Scar. Oh, my poor girl Goose Scar. She lost 2 more of her children this year, one of whom she'll never know ended up becoming a murderer. I think she deals with trauma in 2 ways, overextending herself and refusing to eat. She has statuses like refuses to eat until everyone else has, sometimes when she's actively sick, and just can't find anything appetizing the fresh kill pile with a concerning degree of frequency. And if it's not that, it'll be her volunteering to do extra work. She is not okay. Next up is a semi-new face, Gale, who previously existed outside the clan and who I have now invited in. I wish I could say more about her, but, she didn't do anything interesting for the few moons she spent in the clan. And now Hazy Frost. And, Hazy Frost, darling, why were you happy that Myrtle Flood died? Why were you happy about that? You were doing so well this year. So yeah, she really did not like Myrtle Flood, and I didn't notice it until it had reached the red, mutually. Honestly, I was half expecting one of them to kill the other, but it never got a chance to happen. It is absolutely wild she went from apologizing to her fresh kill before eating it at the beginning of the year to that. And Piper Deer. He's been hanging out a lot with cats outside the clan, touching noses with the kitty pet Sashimi, and later sharing prey with a different kitty pet named Wrath, who had previously declined joining the clan. Sashimi is way out of his age range for relationships, being much older. Wrath is closer, but still on the older side, so there might be something there, but there might not be. He also had kits with a clanmate he's not mates with, deciding to co-parent with her. What a mess. Significantly less messy, but still a bit messy, Crouch Snout. He became mates with Weevil-Stem and is currently looking excited because at this moment, she's in the nursery with their 4 kits. He did have a bizarre moment at the beginning of the year, though, where he used Piper Deer's fears against him but also was eating with him a lot. Are you blackmailing him into hanging out with you? Explain. I think Hornet Spots is trying to become a better person, you guys. He's been at least trying to be nicer to others, even those he doesn't like. He complimented people, he supported a clanmate who'd been hit by a sudden vision, he helped a kit nurse a butterfly back to health. He is still flawed, though. Clanmates were uncomfortable with how he talked about Velvet Clover, a cat he is not particularly fond of. Rosebird wasn't super active this year, only having a few statuses and patrols worth noting. She swore she saw Swallowshade sneaking around at night, and that same moon, Swallowshade was worried that she was overworking herself. Daisy Jaw visited her in a dream, and though I'm not sure what happened in it, and the same moon she failed to save a very young loner, like apprenticed age, from bleeding out, she wondered if kitty pet life was really that bad. Weedsap and Silkpatch became mates out of absolutely nowhere. Weedsap was her usual, unusual self, unnerving others with her words, knowing things, etc. Bizarrely, Copswiss confessed to her, though was rejected. She also learned the hard way that Piper Deer wasn't exactly the best cat to go to for advice. Knowing him, he probably brushed her off harshly or gave an off-putting answer. Silkpatch, on the other hand, she got mauled by a large dog trying to lead it away from the territory, and though it healed, she was left with a permanently bad eye and a giant scar. Because of her injury, she was confined to camp most of the year, but her clanmates still thought she was overworking herself. Just a rough year in general. Dogwing is a new addition. Well, a new addition to LotusClan. Remember him from year 4? The only surviving kid of Fernstar and J-Stripes of Strike Clan's first litter. He accidentally killed his sister with a falling branch trap meant for something else. He ended up going into self-exile out of guilt, until Yellow Leopard, recognizing him as the cat the dog prophecy was talking about and seeing that StarClan wanted to give him a second chance, invited him into the clan. He was also the cat who was struck with a sudden vision, one of past battles, thanks to his clairvoyance. There was a lot of intrigue around Tarantula Grass this year. She was being trained by the ancient dark forest cat Birchstream, who was meant to bring her into the rest of the trainees, but kept putting it off. The same moon she learned the truth, Daisy Jaw had the status that she knew Tarantula Grass's secret and wanted to tell someone. And then, later in the year, an ancient StarClan cat was walking in her dreams. This girl's going through it. Next up, Primrose Wish, who I love the full name, can I just say. She barely did anything of interest this year. She reacted strangely to a simple question from Oriole, and was another victim of the rat invasion, getting minor injuries that healed quickly. Of note, Birchstream was walking in her dreams too at the end of the year. I wonder why. Swallowshade lost both her mom and her only sibling in 1 year. To her, her entire family. For both of them, she groomed their fur excessively to be ready for their vigils, but also to be close to them one last time. I don't think she ever learned that Myrtlefoot was training in the Dark Forest, nor does she know that's where she ended up. Swan Lilac is another new face. He joined late in the year as an apprentice after living as a loner. And that's about it! He didn't really do anything. Consequence of not having been there for very long. Now for the Elder's Den, where Gyoza is still kicking at 161 moons old, but in rough condition after she was bitten by a venomous snake. Early in the year, she confessed her feelings to Rubblestar but was rejected. Rubblestar, who would then go on to have the relationship status, always assumes the worst of Gyoza. So, rough. Her silliness hasn't completely vanished, though. Even with a snake bite and poisoning, she was still sleeping in other cats' nests. And finally, the nursery. Lightning Burst was the cat Piper Deer had an affair with, resulting in Rain Kit and Straw Kit. She actually gave birth while grieving after Prance Shimmer's death and was plagued by constant nightmares the next moon, so she really wasn't getting any sleep. Rain Kit is an attention seeker and oddly observant, and Straw Kit is fearless, quick to help, and fascinated by prophecies. Straw Kit actually had kitten cough, but managed to survive and recover. Lucky baby, lucky baby. Maple Kit, Merc Kit, and Shade Kit were found by Velvet Clover, clinging to their dead mother Hobohime. Maple Kit is polite and an avid play fighter, Merc Kit is noisy and splashes in puddles, and Shade Kit is self-conscious, quick to help, and confident with words. Not much else to say, they baby. And finally for the nursery, Weevil Stem had her and Crouch Snout's kits. Big Kit, Beaver Kit, Red Kit, and Long Kit. Weevil Stem had a comparatively calmer year, though obviously she did have rough patches, like, her siblings dying. Though some notable things that happened were her feeling a sense of dread early on, and her failing at something she claimed to be an expert at. That's all for LotusClan, now for cats outside the clan. Pansy Fog is still kicking, and he didn't commit any murders this year. Congrats, buddy, on the bare minimum. And Rhyme Breeze, she's totally fine, you guys, don't worry about it. Thistle Lake was given another Fern J kit as an apprentice, Petalpaw. An apprentice he then encouraged to steal from LotusClan. Then Petalpaw became a warrior, Petalwool, and at the end of the year he was given another apprentice, Gardenia Paw. Apparently they just really like him or something? Now on to positions of power in other clans. Like I said earlier, Mossy Star has been provoking Rubblestar, trying to pick a fight. Rubblestar doesn't like that Mossy Star let Pansy Fog join Laurel Clan, and Mossy Star hates that his decisions are being questioned, and that he risks losing his new pet murderer if LotusClan decides to do something about it. And then at the end of the year, someone else in Laurel Clan became a murderer, except this one killed someone Mossy Star likes. 3 out of the 4 Fern J kits born at the end of year 4 are all warriors now. Petalwool, who graduated a moon early, Wolfheart, and Cody Meadow. Podpaw is still an apprentice at 13 moons old. At the beginning of the year, they adopted another kit, Downy Kit, who sadly died of green cough. And then at the end of the year, they had 2 more kits, Freckle Kit and Chive Kit. Also, since I have nowhere else to put it, Hornet Spot's old Strike Clan friend he knew as an apprentice, Sweet Tuft, was murdered by an elder named Vax. And for Loudstar, after a Weasel Clan cat had a fight with a Strike Clan cat, Weasel Star felt personally slighted and decided that she was going to annoy Fernstar on purpose, with minimal success. And by that I mean, it didn't work. She also lost her deputy Heathmore, to retirement at first, but then he was murdered by a warrior named Wisteria Wisp. She also lost her sister Lilac Bite and 5 other warriors to a sudden flash flood at the very end of the year. Merkbreak didn't do much this year, spending almost all the year with a broken bone, then got infected. He did heal, but with a weakened leg. J-Stripe also didn't do much this year. She was doing alright as deputy, at least according to Zinnia Tiger, and she was the one to carry the new Fern J litter born at the end of the year. Lemon Raven is the new Weasel Clan deputy, and oh boy, she's having a rough time, because, Lilac Bite was her mate, and they just had a kit together. Plus her predecessor, got murdered. Medics, and Pale Branch was murdered by a warrior named Tawny Tuft, leaving behind her mate Fawn Stripe and their 2 moon-old kits. And right after Tawny Tuft had saved her from an enemy warrior, real only I'm allowed to kill you type situation. When Trout joined the clan, he brought 2 kits with him, B-Kit and Day-Kit. After becoming an apprentice, B-Paw tried to fight a hawk. He later died of his wounds. So yeah, Trout's doing just bad. Sharpie is also doing bad, also being hit hard by Pale Branch's death. He doesn't know who the killer is, which is probably why Tawny Tuft is still alive. He might not be evil, but he is still bloodthirsty, and I have no doubt he'd take things into his own paws. He was also considering taking on an apprentice. And at the very end of the year, he got his wish with the 6-moon-old Smoke Paw. She was found as a kit, being abandoned by 2 legs, already having the scar on her face. She's also bloodthirsty, so I have to ask, what happened to this baby? Strike Clan got a new medic, and lost another, but actually she just changed jobs. So now we have the loving Laku, who's a great mediator. In Weasel Clan, Dogpaw got his full name and is now Dog Silk, and Ember got a new apprentice in Wheatpaw. Finally, mediators. Laurel Clan finally got some, but, Ember. Ember basically became a mediator to encourage cats to behave in the way that Mossy Star wanted, which included slowly making a certain cat hate another cat that Mossy Star didn't like to try and get him to kill her. It hasn't worked yet, but that hasn't stopped him. And though the other new mediator, Myrtlefleck, is looking somewhat more reasonable for now, he is a son of Ember and Firefluff, so we'll see what that causes. As for Strike Clan, Ossiepeck is still here, and Sleek Goose switched to being a mediator. And that's all for LotusClan Year 5, some announcements. I have a Discord server now, link in the description. I also put the existing 4th Wall merch designs onto some new items, t-shirts and mugs, and it definitely was not because my grandparents wanted me to. Definitely. But hey, it's there for anyone who wants them. I've already played through Year 6 in LotusClan, and have been working my way through the side clans, and it's gonna be interesting. But I've kept you all here long enough. See you in the next one. Bye!